Holy Toledo, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Call of Duty Super Amazing MLG Alpha Male Stud Muffin video by your create gods. And let's just jump right into it.
Let's just jump in.
A lot of big drama coming out of a Kotaku big hit piece article on Treyarch this morning about how Treyarch is treating their employees, or rather not employees, mistreating their game testers. And honestly, I don't give a about game testers. They can go piss up a rope. Like, honestly, a bunch of dudes sitting there playing video games, figuring out the problems, and they get paid minimum wage, pretty much like 13 bucks an hour, and they cried like babies, and they're upset that they have to work like 60 hours a week and all that kind of stuff. And I really don't give a shit. Like, cool, whatever, people have problems with their jobs. The more important fact that we need to focus on with this article and what's going on with Call of Duty and Black Ops 4 and just Call of Duty in general, and more importantly and more paramount to this channel and what actually you care about, is the microtransactions and how these developers and also the fanboys on the Reddits and all these Call of Duty fanboys love just to blame and put all the onus and all the freaking microtransaction bull and all the rip-off money-making scam stuff on Activision, like as if it's 110% Activision's fault. Oh my god, and as David Vonderhaar says, I only make the shoes.
I don't know, I just make the shoes.
That's all just nothing but lies and horse. Just a bunch of shit hawks rolling around.
They're coming, Bubbles. They're flying in low. Just swooping down, shitting on people, and dragging them off to the big shit nest.
So this is the big article, The Human Cost of Call of Duty, Black Ops 4. And it's a really long article. It just goes through essentially talking about how Black Ops 4 had a campaign and it was scrapped and Activision wasn't happy with it. And that, the play testers and the non-freaking actual verified Treyarch employees don't get listened to. And there's a lot of crying and whatnot by people who actually don't even work for Treyarch but are hired from third-party companies. Basically, that's really what a lot of this is about how, the employees are having to work all these extra hours to try to push out a game. And they're just, being overworked, and there's a lot of baby back crying bullshit, right? Like that's really, honestly, who cares? Okay, honestly, I'm sorry that your workplace and work environment sucks, but you know what? You always just walk out the door if you're only making 13 bucks an hour. You're in California, Los Angeles, you can pretty much go to Walmart and get paid more. So cry me a river, I don't give a. And if you really wanted to make a big difference, you know what? Get a union in there, get some proper policy hours and whatnot, and actually, have some strength in numbers. This right here is where I want to get to. This right here. This is what we want to talk about. This is the meat and potatoes of what we want to talk about. This is the microtransactions and how essentially they're trying to, put blame on Activision. And let me just say right off the bat here, that is horse. That is a fake excuse that you want to blame Activision. And this is why. First of all, Activision doesn't know anything about Call of Duty. They don't play video games. The CEOs, they don't sit at home on the evenings and play Call of Duty, buy COD points, and open up supply drops and try to get all the new pay-to-win guns. They don't. That's just not how it works. They simply have profit goals that they want reached. And they're like, hey, we need to make this kind of money. Your game's only doing this much. We need to implement more microtransactions in order to make our profits. It is up to the developers to try to figure out how to implement their microtransactions to meet the financial goals of their bosses at Activision as well, like I said at the beginning of this video, David Vonderhaar is full.
I don't know, I just make the shoes.
You liar!
David Vonderhaar is management along with the Treyarch studio heads, Dan Bunting and Mark Gordon. Mark Gordon and Dan Bunting are the head of Treyarch. David Vonderhaar is not just a game developer, as people like to say, so I want to get that out of the way right away. If you go to his LinkedIn, you can see right here, he is part of management who gets bonuses when they do very well and sell a bunch of microtransactions. As you can see here, summary, design and production management of computer and video games. I hire game designers for all positions, level design, game design, scripting, system design, and user experience at all levels, junior, mid, senior, and lead. He is the third guy in charge. He is the boss of everybody in the studio. The managers, Dan Bunting and Mark Gordon, are his bosses. And all those guys get bonuses, as it says here in the Kotaku report, talking about how when they make a lot of money on the microtransactions, what people get freaking bonuses, and the losers who are getting minimum wage, who are sitting there playing video games, doing play testing, who cry because they get mistreated, are driving pieces of junk cars. They even say that in this article. But the point is that people like Dave Vonderhaar sit there and tell you, I just make the shoes. Well, that's fine, right? You just make the shoes. Activision, once again, doesn't tell you how to make the shoes or what kind of shoes you should be making. They just tell you, we want this kind of much money. This is what we're hoping to do. This is our goals at the end of the quarter. We want that kind of money coming out of your studio and out of the video game to make, our profits this high and make our shareholders this happy. And it's up to developers to implement strategies in microtransactions to make the money. And they're the ones who are doing it. They're the ones who implement the bull, like stickers and face paints and all kinds of other kind of crap. They're the ones that do that. They may not be happy with it, but they're the ones deciding what microtransactions and how they're going to actually do it, not Activision. So the blame has to be on Treyarch. All you Treyarch fanboys always want to defend them as if it's like, it's Activision's fault. It's Activision's fault. Yeah, okay, you know what? It's Activision's fault. But you know what? It's not their fault. They're a corporation. They're going to want to get their money. That's just how it is. It's the tail between the scorpion and the frog. You ever heard that tale before? The frog is of water. There's a flood. The frog is stuck on the other side with the scorpion. The scorpion is sitting there and he's like, you know what? I'll give you a ride across. And he's like, oh, okay, thank you so much. I guess so, yes. You just hop on my back, frog, and I'll give you a ride across. So the frog jumps on the back of the scorpion, and the scorpion takes him across the floodwaters to the safe side of the river, and he takes him across, and as soon as they get to the other side of the river, what's the scorpion do? He stings and kills the frog, and as the frog is dying, it says, why did you do that? And you know what he answered? Because I'm a scorpion. And that's what Activision is. They are a corporation, and they expect them to behave in any way other than greedy and trying to make as much money as possible is in a fantasy world. So I put a lot of the onus and a lot of the blame on Treyarch, because you know what? What did Infinity Ward do? What did Sledgehammer Games do? What were their microtransactions like? Nowhere near as unfair or of a ripoff as Black Ops 4 or Black Ops 3 is. Not even close. Treyarch is the biggest money-hungry bull studio rip-off scam artist I've ever seen, with the head David Vonderhaar out here talking about I only make the shoes, lying through his teeth, because that guy gets a ton of bonuses as well. He's part of management, as it says on his LinkedIn freaking profile. The guy is upper management. Those are the people, as it says here in this Kotaku article, about how senior management and upper management gets all the money. So to believe the dude who says I only make the shoes, whose entire job, as it says on his LinkedIn profile, is hiring pretty much everybody and anything to do with the development of the game, as a guy who's, oh, it's out of my hands. I don't know, man. Like, I just hire everybody who actually designs everything, you know, but I don't have any control. But I just make the shoes, man. It's all about Mark and that other guy. I don't even know who they are, dude. There's some kind of other dudes up there, overlords. They're the ones in charge of everything, but they have no experience in any video game making or any design or anything to do with gaming. But you know what? It's totally all their faults. We have nothing to do with how the microtransactions are actually implemented in the game. I mean, if we just get this message from Activision, I put on my tinfoil hat, I get messages by the microwave telling me like, okay, put more stickers in the game. I like stickers. Make sure put more face paint. Also, lock a bunch of guns behind some bullcrap reserves paywall, so there's 18,000 different things in reserves, and everyone's just super happy about that, and the chances of actually ever getting anything from the game with some substance and some kind of fun value behind it is like 1 out of a million, or you have to spend $500 like these knives only to unlock the ballistic knives. I mean, like, or you have the luck of the Irish and you just happen to be 1 out of the million people that actually get something in a supply drop, or sorry, not supplies drop, surprise mechanic. You know, guys, they're not called supply drops. I forgot EA is telling us they're surprise mechanics. My bad, surprise mechanics. Yeah, no, not at all. I don't let them off the hook, and I don't even blame Activision. Like I said, you know what? Activision is what they are. They're a corporation, and these game developers making excuses is just sad, super sad. And Dave Vonderhaar is just full of it as well, and all those guys are full of it, man. It's not Activision's fault the way that these microtransactions are implemented. It's Treyarch's fault. They get a quota for how much they're supposed to be making, I suppose, and then it's their job to figure out how to get that money from the consumers. And Treyarch, out of any developer, rips off the consumers and the fan base more than anyone else. And it's time to stop making excuses for these guys. They're millionaires making so much money, and people out here are just suckers. Well, not all of us. A lot of you watching this video, 99% of you, are in agreement with me. But a lot of you out there are just like on some G Fuel brain cancer stuff, dudes. Wake up. But before we go, if I could just interject some perspective. As the great Alan Laverson said, we talking about practice. And in this case, we talking about Call of Duty, video game. Like, honestly, really, at the end of the day, it ain't that big of a deal, man. But it sure as hell is a lot of fun to constantly be exposing and roasting these losers. But beyond that, really, we talking about Call of Duty. Not a really huge big deal. It's not like these people are out here really, you know, causing any serious problems in life. Oh, except for those poor playtesters have to sit there with those horrible horrible work conditions and play video games for 12 hours a day and no air conditioning. Well, you know what? How about you just quit? It's not like you're getting paid a lot of money anyways. You can go find a job down at Walmart as a greeter and make the same amount of money. So, you know what? Cry me a river. I could care less about those guys. Whatever. If your life has led you to making $13 an hour as a game tester for Call of Duty, you probably are a loser. Alright, and with all that being said, thank you for watching the video. If you haven't done so already, listen, I don't know what else to tell you. You're probably a game tester for Black Ops 4. You haven't subscribed. So, subscribe. Don't be a loser like a playtester for Call of Duty. And last but not least, and most importantly, my pedigree chums, you will stay black. You know, Don Cracker, the nation, building movies, on Spain, just as the judge, good trust, and maybe we also flat, the fake, Bill Hicks, the father's gay white man. Yeah.